Today we're going to make some chalk printed snow globes. I've been sharing a lot of how to draw snow globe projects right here on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to skip that step in this video. So if you haven't drawn snow globes yet, then you definitely should check those videos out, and you'll definitely want to check out a couple of my free handouts that will give you tons of different ideas. So go ahead, watch those videos, draw some snow globes, and come back after you have drawn in your design. If I were you, I would draw at least 2 or 3 different designs because you're going to want to do this printing part of the project over and over again. It's a blast. Now, when your designs are complete, make sure that you have drawn them with permanent marker. I've got mine right here, and now I'm going to add color with some crayons. When I'm using my crayons, I'm pressing down pretty firmly. I really want the wax of the crayon to get built up because it's what's going to resist when I do my print. That means it's going to push off some of the water and some of the chalk and allow the colors of the crayons to show through. So using a pressure, meaning you're pressing nice and hard, you don't have to color everything, just color the areas that you want it to stand out with color. I've sped this up a little bit because I know you don't want to watch me color all day, but I actually don't color this fast. Wouldn't it be magical if we could? So I'm just filling in any of those areas where I want to add a little bit of color, baby, color. You can use crayons. You could use construction paper crayons. You could even use oil pastels. Don't forget, if you have something like penguins or snowmen in your snow globe scene, you definitely will want to color them in. Once you have everything all filled with color, here's what you're going to need next. You'll need a big bin of water, and you're also going to need a popsicle stick as well as a kind of chalk that's called free art chalk. I like free art chalk because it's nice and big. This trick might not work with sidewalk chalk. It might work with art chalk. I'll show you and you can decide. Here's my big bin of water. Here's my big colorful chalk, and there's my popsicle stick. I've got the bin almost filled up completely to the top. This chalk is very thick and it does a great job at this trick. So I'm going to take my chalk and hold it in one hand and use my popsicle stick like a scraper to scrape the chalk into the basin of water. I haven't added anything to the water, it's just water. And because I'm shaving the chalk into such fine flakes, it's just sitting on the surface of the water. It's not sinking down to the bottom. If your chalk starts to sink, you might be pressing too hard and putting big flakes of chalk into the bin of water. It needs to be nice, fine little flakes. That way it just sits on the surface. When you feel like you have filled the top of the basin of water, then you're ready to print. So I'm going to add a little bit more color to mine. Notice I'm using a lot of bright colors. I'm trying to think about what I might like to see in my snow globe scene. I'm not using any white because it wouldn't show up, and I'm not adding any black. I just think that it might be too dark for my snow globe. Now that you see I've got my bin filled up, I think it's cool to watch all the different colors move around. I'm almost ready to print. You'll grab your paper and you're going to bend it like the letter U, just like this, and lower it, there you go, lower it carefully onto just the surface. Don't let it dip under the water. It's just resting and floating on the surface of the water. Make sure you pat it gently before you lift it out. Check it out. It picked up all those chalk particles and left behind a really cool design. Let's try it again. Now, when I lifted out my paper, it did remove quite a bit of the chalk. I didn't change out my water bin. In fact, I can keep using the same bin of water over and over again. I don't need to clean it. Sometimes it may look a little bit dirty, but all that you have to focus on are the particles that are sitting on top. So I'm just adding a little bit more, being very gentle so that it's just dusty particles that are sitting on the surface before I pull my print. Let's do that. I've got my drawing. I'm going to turn it over, bend it like the letter U, gently lower it just on the surface. and then pull it up. Now what you're going to notice is it's a lot more colorful than my first one. That's because it grabbed some of the other chalk particles. The more that you start to do this, the brighter your drawings are going to be. So just keep scraping more. This is why I said you're going to want to have a lot of drawings that you've drawn and colored on hand. Did you notice how the crayon pushed off some of the colors? You can still see your drawing underneath. All right, I'm ready to print my final snow globe design. Let's see how this one turns out. I'm going to lower it slowly and carefully before lifting it out, making sure it doesn't go under the surface of the water. Peel it up. Wow, I love all of these. Now, we do have to let them dry completely. And while we do that, I'm going to share with you how to make the base of the snow globe, but I'm using one of my other snow globe designs. You're going to set it on top and then scoot it down to the bottom before using a pencil to trace the bottom of your drawing, just like this, tracing slowly and carefully. And then you're going to grab some glue, flip your drawing over, and you're going to put dots of glue around the edge. Now, I did that curved line drawing at the bottom of my paper. I'm going to glue my snow globe at the top, just like this. And once I have it in place, you can still see my pencil line there at the bottom. I'm going to flip the whole thing over and give it a massage. Whenever I rub the back of my paper to get the glue to stick, I always do it for about 10 seconds to make sure it really stays. Now I need to draw the sides of my snow globe. So I'm going to take my hand, spread it apart, put one little tick mark next to my thumb, one little tick mark next to my pinky before drawing 2 diagonal lines down to that curve. And now that I have it the way that I like it, I'm going to use my permanent marker to trace over my pencil lines. Once that's traced, I can start to add a design inside my snow globe. I like to use lines for my design and shapes. So maybe a zigzag line, a loop-de-loop. I could make a wavy or a curvy line. The choice is yours. But when you're finished, you might want to consider adding a little bit of color. I'm using construction paper crayons to add color to mine because they show up really well on construction paper. But you could also use markers, regular crayons. It's up to you. When you're all finished coloring and your drawing and your snow globe is complete, it's time to cut it out and away from this background paper. So we're going to cut it away from the rest of the paper so it's just your snow globe standing. Let's go. Using my scissors, I'm cutting on the outside edge of the black line. I want to make sure to do this really slowly and carefully. I've spent a lot of time making all of my artwork look great, so I want to be careful to cut it out nicely and neatly. Notice I'm cutting around the circle of my snow globe. I'm not cutting into the snow globe at all. I'm trying to be very careful, and let's see how my chalk printed ones turned out. They look really, really cool and colorful. And I see some areas, I kind of wish I would have colored those houses in the background. That would have been really neat. But you know what? I might still be able to color them now that they're all nice and dry. I hope you guys had fun. See you soon. Toodles!